Heidi ho, boys and girls. Welcome back. This is today's project. We got some bar end mirrors. These are, I would say, very inexpensive replicas of some very expensive mirrors. I got them for 17 bucks for the pair on eBay. Hey, what's up? And I want to put them on, you guessed it, the Royal Enfield. We got these stock Mickey Mouse ear type mirrors. They work great, but they look goofy. So I want to get rid of them. The bike is still very new to me. It's like only about a month old. So I'm taking my time changing things out. But it's time. It's time for these to change. So here's the issue. This bike seems easy enough. You have these bar end, what look like weights with an Allen head holding them into the end of the bar. This piece here is actually a spacer. You can see right under there, it's got a gap. That gap right there. 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 You try and do this with one hand. That comes off. And Royal Enfield actually makes their own bar end mirrors, which they're cool, but they're a couple $100, maybe $250, and they're not quite as short as I would like. So you would think you just pop that off, take that off, put that other mirror on, and you're done, right? Wrong. You are so wrong. Evidently, this, if you just turn that, which I've tried, it just spins. Because it's attached to something that's about this long, which I believe acts like a vibration dampener inside. What is going on here though, inside this here, you can't quite tell right now, but there's, if I make a gap, there are these two spots where it's kind of got like a spring-loaded, I don't know, these two little arms. If you push them down, I believe it keeps that from spinning, and it'll actually unscrew it. Either that, or when you depress them, that whole assembly will pull out easily so that you can then remove this spacer. I don't know why they made it so difficult, but they did. Although I've seen some videos online where people just unscrew that Allen head and you're done. Same thing on this side. The problem I was having was trying to depress those two arm thingy majiggers, because that's what they're called, and I couldn't do it. And then I remembered I have this tool. Yes folks, it's the Big Yank faucet handle puller. Not the large yank, not the grande yank, not to be confused with those. This is the Big Yank. If you look, this thing is pretty much set up to do what I need to do, minus this. It's got these two arms that clamp. They already have a cutout too to follow the shape of the handlebar. I want to see if that works. It's still in the package. I don't even know where I got this thing. I've had it for years. So I'm going to take that out, use this, and then use an Allen socket to try and get those things out. So let me set you up and let's see if this works. Wish me luck. Good luck. Thank you. Well, after some searching on the internet, it seems like you have to clamp down on this so it doesn't spin without marring it. How fun is that? And then try and remove that bolt. I'm so not excited about this because I don't want to screw this up. Not that I'm going to screw it up, but just I don't want to mar my bar ends or anything. So I have these little rubber pads on my vice grip, but they don't give you great grip, and the teeth like to come through. So I'm a little worried. And it's still spinning. So I'm gonna try something else. Okay, I'll be back. Alright, so here's where I'm at. I can either clamp on this piece of aluminum, and I'm just so worried about marring it, or this plastic spacer here, I may be able to open it up just enough where I can pry it over. Because I don't need to actually remove this. The mirrors I have will clamp around where this spacer is. What do you say? I'm going to carefully try and get that spacer off. I definitely don't want to break it. I just don't. I hear cracking, but I think that's like it was glued down. Again, cracking. I don't like cracking, but I just... Oh, I broke it. And sometimes you win some, sometimes you lose some, right? I guess in the end, better to have broken that piece of plastic than mar the aluminum. My issue is, I don't even know if I'm going to like these, if they're going to work well. Also, I don't know if they're going to work on the bar. This has this piece that you're supposed to insert in the bar. I don't want to do that. It's clamped around this, so the plan is to unbolt this, remove that, and then clamp it around the bar itself. I don't see why it wouldn't work, but you never know, right? So let's see if this is gonna do what I want it to do. Alright, so that does come out. Out. Who the heck am I? It does come out. Right? Oops. Alright. Let's see what happens. I'm gonna go get a T-handle. Let us see. I mean, these seem decently well made, to be honest. But you never know. Alright, let's go back to the bike. Can you see me okay over here? Yeah, you should. So I need 3 hands. That's gonna go there. That's gonna go there. What I do not want to do is drop the mirror, because that would suck. Alright. Alright. Let's get that started. That's a good sign. Let's see if I can get that one started. Seems like a little wonky. All right. There we go. So the issue here is that, so this part grabs the bar, and then it's got to tighten down enough put pressure on the ball of the mirror. However, this is a smaller diameter than the bar, so it's not quite grabbing. What I can try and do is fake it, maybe by tightening that one more while loosening that one. Let's see if that'll work. I don't know that that's gonna work, because the bottom one is barely doing anything, and I don't want to over tighten it because I don't want to strip the threads out. Options: I can try and make that inside there a little bit bigger, the curves on both sides, to allow it to clamp down more. That may be my best bet. I don't even know if I like these mirrors that much, to be honest with you. I just wish that alright. Well, I'm going to pause you for a bit and do some thinking. Okay, here's where I'm at. This piece, which is where these originally went around, like that, right? When I measure it with my caliper, we get about 21 millimeters. Can you see that? I'm not using the digital display. 21 millimeters. When I measure the bars, I'm at about 22 and a half. So we're talking about, here, I'm sorry. We're talking about 1.5 millimeters. So, here's the big question. If you look here, these two halves, there's not a ton of material here. It's pretty thin to begin with. Do I want to take it away from there? Or this ball is what clamps into here. Like this. Do I want to somehow make that bigger? I was looking to see if maybe I had something to replace that with, but nothing comes to mind. I thought about maybe putting some heat shrink tubing over that, but it's going to take quite a bit to make up that extra space. So I need to chew on that for a bit and then make a decision. Alright, I'll let you know what I decide. Okay, here's where I'm at so far. I took a marker, drew a line, and when I measure that thickness with my tape measure, that's about the amount I need to remove from here. So I took the same marker, drew those lines on there, and if I go halfway on either one, I should be over what I need. Now the question is how? Okay, here's where I'm at. So last I was saying about grinding off these two corners, but then looking at it, if you see here, there's very little shoulder there for the bolt, and there's a ton there. So I decided to just take off this corner. It'll shift everything down like what, 1/16 of an inch at the most, or 1 millimeter or 2, but big deal. I have all that extra meat. You can see I started on this one already, and originally I was going to use this carbide tip, but then I remembered I have these stones and it's big enough to grind the whole width of this at once. So I should probably be able to get a more uniform thing. So let's see what happens. I'll keep going. Just to give you an idea how I'm doing this, I'm kind of eyeballing it. This one's done. I'm pretty sure it's done. I took off the slightest amount. I'll clean up the edges with a file. And I want to test fit it a couple times. Just going ever so slightly. But you'll see I'm not even putting it in the vise. I'm just hanging it off the edge of the table. And then I'm going up to my pipe here, my handlebars, and test fitting it. So I'm gonna have at it. Oh, a little bit of a mark, just so I have an idea of how much I've taken off. I'm just putting a little white mark there. Just gives you a visual. Hopefully you can see something. If the compressor kicks in, I apologize. The other thing I'm trying to do is, rather than go at an angle, I want this to go as flat as possible. So I'm taking out the same amount on both sides at the same time. No need to rush. So, jeweler's file, took the parts. These are aluminum too. I don't want to clog my files horribly, but it's okay. Just kind of knocking off the sharp edges, just so there's not a, doesn't cut into anything, what have you. So now, what do I do? So I mentioned rust. That's not going to rust, but I would like it to all look uniform. What to do? I could bust out a can of spray paint or what have you, but I've often used for many years, not just on bikes but on my musical instruments that are black or white or other colors, nail polish. It's great. It's typically an enamel. It dries very quickly. This is a flat black. I have a gloss black. I have a semi-black. Given that my other bike is flat black, this has come in handy many times. I also use Testors model paint sometimes, but this works great. And I could did my nails when I'm done. Look pretty. All right, shake it up. Should probably shake it a little more. Oh, and by the way, keep these in the fridge. It keeps them fresh because you're not going to use them all the time, right? So, so they don't dry out or whatever. You could keep them in the fridge. Here, I'll show you. Just kind of don't judge my polishing technique. I am the son of a manicurist. I grew up seeing this all the time. And sometimes I do paint my nails black. It's a punk rock thing. Just makes me feel good. That one's done. Second one. Mani Pedi? Yeah, no. And anyway, that's going to be against the bar, so you're not going to see it. But one trick with the nail polish is when it's, after you apply it, don't keep, as it's drying, don't keep applying it because it'll get all gummy and bunched up on you. Look, that's already drying. I'm going to give it a few minutes. While that's drying, I'm going to go ahead and take care of the other mirror. And I'm going to decide, do I want to break the plastic thing off, that one too? Or try and get the bar end off? You want to take bets on what I do? I'm so anxious right now. Alright, took the second mirror apart. I'm going to do the same thing to this one. Grind off a bit of this corner and that corner. Just keep something in mind. The first one I did, I was very cautious and took it easy, made sure it was okay. A lot of times then your tendency is to rush on the next one, or just to do it. Don't. Put it on the bar, make sure it has the same exact problem as the first one, or maybe it has a different problem for some reason. You never know. And then take your time with it too. I'm not a whiz at this now, and if I screw it up, what am I going to do then, right? All I'm saying is take your time. Don't ever just assume something. Measure twice, cut once, or whatever they say, right? Okay, I'll be back. After a much needed Chinese food break, I'm back. I finished grinding out the right hand mirror just like I did the left one. The left one's actually mounted, and that should be where it's gonna be seated. Came out good, actually. The other one, the nail polish is drying, so I figured it's a good time to remove the stock mirrors. For anyone wondering how to do that, you just slide this rubber off. Then if you look on this nut, you see how it's got these cuts along the edges? That typically signifies it's a reverse thread, and it is. So in other words, if I turn this clockwise, it's getting looser as opposed to tighter. So that's just something to keep an eye out for in general when you're doing things. If you notice, this one does not have those cut out, so that should be a regular thread. Alright, so I'm just gonna loosen that up and then unscrew the mirror. One more note on those mirrors. So I was right, the left one is a normal thread, lefty loosey for the mirror and the nut. But man, there's a ton, I don't know if you could see that in there, maybe. There's a ton of red Loctite. You can smell it. You can smell it. So I just had to turn and back and turn a little more and back and turn a little more and back slowly until I could get it all the way out. So take your time with it. Don't force it. I had to do the same thing with the right side. So just keep that in mind. Okay, I'll be back. Well, they're done. Let's check it out. So here's the left side. And remember, so it had this that came with it. This was supposed to slide into the bar, but these have that long piece in here. I just didn't feel like removing it. So I omitted that. These were now, didn't fit quite right on the bar because these had a narrower diameter. Ground it down like I showed you, and here you have it. Left side, right side, sitting on the bike. I don't know how much I like them overall. We'll see how they work. I'll go for a ride tomorrow. I'm considering maybe instead of pointing that up, pointing that forward and getting them about here. But I have a good field of vision where they are. I typically set my bar ends underneath, but a lot of times your arm blocks it and it's a little bit of a pain. So, and I'll remind you, these were 17 bucks. I have no idea how long they're gonna last, but it was worth a shot. And if I like them, I can spend the $100 per mirror for the brand name. Right? Right. So, all right. Definitely changes the look of the bike already. I may end up getting the Royal Enfield ones. Instead of sticking out all the way here, they'll stick up and a little bit out. We'll see. I'm not convinced yet. They have good, I can see well, but I don't know if I like the overall look. For example, here are the mirrors on my KZ. Totally 70s. But I like them better. I think because they don't stick out so much, you know. I did try these pointing down, but my arm blocked them way too much. The KZ ones are down. My arm blocks those too, but because they're rectangular and they stick out further, I have a field of vision. Alright. Not bad for 17 bucks and a little bit of grinding. Grinding, not that kind of grinding, people. Alright, kids. Thanks for sticking around. I hope you enjoyed this one. Oh, one last thing. Again, I'm going to get some threaded plugs for these. I really hate how those are just open like that. Yeah. Or I could just stick some short Allen head bolts in there, although that one is a reverse thread. Good luck finding that. I think I'm going to change this too out to like an LED. I'm definitely changing out those turn signals, but one thing at a time. Alright, thanks again. Hope you had a good time. Let me know if you have any questions. Can't necessarily say I can answer them all, but I'll try. And I guess I have to say the whole, please like and subscribe if you enjoyed my videos. I'm laughing at myself. Alright, have a good one. Thanks. So a couple of updates. It's been a couple of weeks since I installed these mirrors. They're working out great, but I want to do some minor updates and touch-ups. I wasn't even going to film it, but I figured why the heck not. So I just received these blanking plugs, or screws you can call them. I've seen them with an Allen head. These happen to have a flat blade head. It's aluminum. They say it's anodized. It seems like paint to me, but anyway, so I had to get a pair that had a right hand thread for this side and a left hand thread for that side. If you remember, I already put that one in. Can you see it right there? It just goes into the hole where the original mirror used to be. Here's the other hole. What I did, you can see the paint is drying. The top of that was just aluminum, so when I screwed this in, it didn't completely cover it, and you could see just the tiniest bit of aluminum. I didn't like that, so what I used is my good old favorite Testors. This doesn't have a front. It's Testors paint. I don't know if it's gonna focus. It's like the bane of my existence, right? It's a flat black enamel, and I just took a cheap little paintbrush and dabbed it on there, and I'm just waiting for that to dry. So once that's dry, I can screw this in. No one will notice it but me, but that's what it's all about. I'll just screw that in, and now it'll look a little more finished. So that's that. The next thing I want to do is, these have been working well, but I realized I need to grind the inside just a little bit more. I have to tighten them down a heck of a lot, and they work, but I'd like to put a little less pressure on the screws here, or more so have it fit better. So what I plan on doing is taking this handlebar setup from the other day, adhering some sandpaper to it, and then putting the piece on there and just going back and forth so that it will get an even sand to the diameter and shape of a bar, rather than me trying to do it all by hand. So let me come back and I'll do that. So what I have here is a 80 grit, is it 08? Is it 80? It's 80. 80 grit paper for a sander. It's got an adhesive back. Now these things are old, like 30 years old, but I think it'll still work. I'll try it out. I may need to cut it. We'll see. Feels pretty good. Good enough for what I'm doing anyway. Yeah, I'm happy with that. Look at that. I was gonna cut the ends off, but I don't have to. I don't think so. I think that's good enough. Oops, you're still in focus. Sorry, I hit you. I'll stick it to itself. I think that should be plenty. If you did need to cut it, you could use scissors, but I forewarn you, if you have anybody in your house that sews, because I sew, I used to sew for a living, leather mostly, do not, by any means, use their good scissors to cut that. They will kill you. And I'm warning you now. Okay, I'll be back. Just to give you a better idea of why I'm doing what I'm doing, when this mirror is in place on that original, do you remember that insert? See how close together the ends are? Over here, I can't point and do this. Right there. Okay, look at that one. Look at the difference. Can you make that out? So what's happening is I'm torquing that down a lot, but a lot more than I want to be able to snug this enough so that the ball of the mirror doesn't just start swiveling all over the place while I'm riding or at speed. Also, these are you're supposed to be able to move these on the hinge, and sometimes when I do that, then that ball loosens up because it's in there just so tightly, so not tightly enough. So I want to sand them down to give it a little more tight fit and a little more adjustment. Got it? Okay, let's go back to the bench. Alright, let's give this a shot. Okay, snug that up a little. I'm trying to do it evenly so it doesn't wobble one way or the other. But I can't take a ton of material off either. Because if you remember, the walls here are not super thick, and I don't want to lose too much material. So actually what I want to do, I'll be right back. I just want to mark these edges with some grease pencil. Not necessarily because that's how much I'm taking off, but it'll allow me to see that material is being taken off, and on both sides, because I may think I'm doing it right and I'm not, and then the next thing you know, they're ruined. Okay. So I think I'm done with this set. If you can see now, I have much more of a uniform sanding. There's a spot right there, same thing on that one, but I don't want to go all the way down either, besides the possibly creating a weak spot. When I put the sandpaper on that bar, it makes it a little bit bigger in diameter. So if I make this completely shiny, it might be too big, so I don't want to do that either. I'm gonna go try them out. Oh, I also took a tap and I chased these holes. It's just, this is cheap cast aluminum, it feels like, and just torquing down on those bolts constantly might chew those up, so I just wanted to clean them up. Alright, I'm done. Sanded them down. Now, I don't know if you can tell, but I can. This gap is much smaller than it was before. I could probably go even more, but I think I'll be fine. This is in here quite tightly. I'm shaking the whole bike by that spot right now. When I ride it tomorrow, probably, I can make any fine adjustments, but now I feel like I can fold these as necessary without it getting loose. I ended up not repainting the inside of these. Remember how I used nail polish the other day? I feel like that was kind of getting in the way, maybe building up and adding a little extra thickness. So now with the sanding, and also I left the striations from the sandpaper in the aluminum, so that should create a little bit of a grip or traction. So the final part, the paint on here should be dry enough. So I've got that plugging mirror hole plug thingy. Let me put it in. Remember, it's reverse thread, so it's lefty tighty. Tighty whitey. What? Okay. That's it. I'll give it a slight, just a little. And that's it, really. I think it's nice. It kind of finishes the top off, so you don't have these big open holes there. Yeah. Okay, kids. I think that's it for this project. I've got plenty more in store. We will work on that together. So thanks for hanging out. I always appreciate your company. It's nice to have company in the garage. Take care. If you're so inclined, you can subscribe, you can like, you can leave comments, you can bake me a cake even. Chocolate's my favorite. Alright, take it easy. Talk to you later. Bye bye.